Hi everyone. Today we are with Dr. Vidhur Mahajan. We welcome you to another episode of Human Beyond's MBBS. We have with us a very young and dynamic Czar of Diagnostics. Vidhur views world from a very different lens, where everyone feels that artificial intelligence is a threat to the existence and maybe the need of doctors. He, being a doctor, is creating a lot of evidence that how AI can lead to better patient care. This medic, who is a proud alumnus of Wharton School of Business, is today with us to inspire many young minds. Welcome, Vidhur, to my show.
Welcome, sir. Welcome. And
Vidhur,
thank you so much for having me.
it's a pleasure to have you, such a bright mind who's thinking so differently. So, Vidhur, why don't you tell our viewers about yourself?
Sure, sir. Sure. So essentially, the one line summary is that, I trained as a doctor, then as a manager, and now I'm doing research. So, I am essentially a very confused soul, but that allows me to do, whatever I want in life. So, which is, we'll come to that thread also. There are certain advantages of being, jack of all trades and master of none. But so I did I'm a pure bred Punjabi, born and raised in Delhi. Both my parents are from Delhi. I then so did my schooling from DPS RK Puram. Then by everyone's surprised, cracked the All India PMT, went to Sion Hospital in Bombay, better known as Lokmanya Tilak Municipal Medical College. Spent 5 years there, and uh, uh, throughout those 5 years of MBBS, I had assumed that I will become a radiologist. Of course, when I entered in the first year, my all my seniors and super duper seniors, all of them were like, "यार कि तुम्हें पता है ना radiology लेने के लिए क्या rank चाहिए होती है?" So, and primarily because my dad is a radiologist, and we have this chain of imaging centers, Mahajan Imaging, and all that. So the idea was that I'll become a radiologist and join that, and life will be all set. Of course, through the MBBS, and even prior to that, I was always very interested in technology. Like I was exploiting all the hacks in Windows 95, 97, back in school, remotely restarting friends' computers without them knowing, through this thing called ICQ, and all of that. So I was always very much into technology, and so I finished my MBBS, came to Delhi for a drop year to study for the PG entrance exams. And as I was doing that, I got involved a little bit in the family business, right? So our main center at the time was in Hoskas in Delhi, and our home is above and the center is below. So as I was pretending to study for PG entrance exams, I got very distracted and started designing brochures and reading some legal documents, implementing software, etc. At that time, and I really started liking that whole aspect of things. And that was also one of the first years when DNB entrance exam started. So I was getting a DNB radiology seat somewhere. But one day prior to my counseling, I went to my dad and I said, maybe I made a PowerPoint, imagine, right? And showed my dad that, if I don't do radiology, these are the 25 other things I can do. Unfortunately, I've lost that PowerPoint, but and he was like, Vidhur, you'll anyways do what you want to do, so do whatever you want. Like I don't care. And then I went for the DNB counseling, and the person in charge there was a radiologist, just by chance. I think it was Dr. Batra. And so he was like, "Oh, tu to Harshda Munda hai, so you'll take this radiology seat." So I said, "No, sir. Actually, I've come here to say no to radiology and not, actually take it." so so he said, "Oh, then you'll take DNB hospital admin at Gangaram or someplace." So I said, "No, no, sir. I've just come here to say no." So he actually called dad, at that time. Your son has gone crazy. You know? So yeah, but that was back at that time. Then of course I joined Mahajan Imaging. I worked on growing it for 4 years, opened a few new centers, but then decided that I needed more formal managerial education, and applied to the top 5 business schools in the world. Again, miraculously, somehow magically, got into Wharton. Spent an amazing 2 years there. My wife, Shelly, who's a pathologist, she was there with me as well there. She was studying molecular biology. I was doing business. We spent 2 years there, then went through a series of decisions and then decided to come back to India. And then I joined Mahajan Imaging again. And then, again, I started working on growing it. But at the same time, realized that we need to be ahead of the curve and not follow the curve. And that's when the whole caring concept came up, the Center for Advanced Research in Imaging, Neurosciences and Genomics. We actually have a T-shirt also that I'm wearing
Oh,
right
nice.
now, and and yeah, within caring, we started working with a lot of AI researchers across the world. This was early 2018, and one thing led to another, and today I essentially do three things. I run Mahajan Imaging, which is fairly well run organization. We have great managers, great team that handle the show. I try to run CaringDx, which is our genomics lab, molecular lab within Mahajan Imaging that my wife runs. And I spend 70-80% of my time on the Caring AI division, where we are building a software that can be used by any doctor anywhere in the world to access any imaging AI anywhere in the world. And it's a fairly complex platform, but yeah, so happy to talk about those things. So yeah, so that's a little bit
Great.
about me.
Great to know that. And Vidhur, I can really identify myself with you. Me also being a son of a radiologist. शायद बचपन में कुछ और बताया ही नहीं गया था. It was always कि डॉक्टर ही बनना है, right? Maybe you would have been a better IT grad, right? But हमें कभी कुछ
No,
बताया.
so my thing, Gaurav sir, actually is very, my dad never wanted me to be a doctor.
Oh,
He was hell bent, like even in class 9 and 10, because in India you have to choose in class 10 what you want to, right? 11th mein, if you take bio, then you become a doctor. If you take computer science, you become an engineer. So he never wanted me to be a doctor, so much so that even on the day we were driving to the I think the first exam at that time was Manipal in class 12. So Manipal entrance exam was the first one. And as we were driving there, so the one good thing my dad did was he took me to the exams. So he was like, "Beta, abhi bhi soch le, if by chance you get a rank, then you can't back out." So that was the level of his, conviction that
मेरे
that
साथ
I
तो
should not do
मेरे साथ तो
medicine.
बहुत डिफरेंट था. मुझे मैथ्स आता नहीं था, तो मुझे
हाँ,
बायोलॉजी करना था और मुझे डॉक्टर ही बनना था.
हाँ,
एंड माय डैड वाज वेरी
हाँ,
स्मार्ट इनफ टू पुट कि देख ले, अगर तुझे डॉक्टर नहीं बनना है तो देन यू कैन ऑलवेज ट्राई एन आईएएस. एंड आई सेड नहीं यार, ये डॉक्टर इज इजियर गेम टू डू, राइट? एंड देन
easier path.
ड्यूरिंग माय एमबीबीएस आई रियलाइज यार नहीं यार, कुछ और करना था. आई केम बैक टू माय डैड एंड सेड कि एमबीबीएस हो गया है, मुझे कुछ और करना है. एंड ही सेड यार पहले ना एजुकेशन कंप्लीट करो. Do your MD first, and then we'll talk, right? So I think we have a very similar background there. But tell me,
Correct.
Vidhur, how difficult it is to carry a legacy where your dad itself, being a doctor, has been an entrepreneur and has been a very successful entrepreneur. He did things which nobody had thought of, setting up a center in Gangaram or in a Safdarjung or in a Fortis. No, not many radiologists are able to do it. How difficult or easy it is to carry this legacy?
No, so I'll tell you, sir. And in fact, one of the key drivers behind my decision of not doing MD radiology was also this. And it comes down to very simple fact. So for the viewers, who may not know, so my dad is this amazing guy called Dr. Harsh Mahajan, who's a Padam Shri awardee. He is the president. He's the radiologist to the president of India. He has been president of all radiology associations, and like first MRI in India he worked on, and then private sector first MRI he brought. So amazing, very great person, right? Very successful in the business side of things also. So the fundamental truth was, sir, at that time, right? And this is just post MBBS, when we are giving the PG entrance exams. One fundamental truth was that my dad was always three truths, right? First truth, he was a radiologist first and a businessman by chance, right? So no matter what he did in life, he was always a radiologist first. But the first machine we would ever get, he would be the first scan would be either done of him or by him, right? Second fundamental truth in life was that I would always have to be both a businessman and a radiologist, right? Because the end outcome that would be expected and that I wanted also was to grow Mahajan Imaging, right? And in order to grow Mahajan Imaging, even if I was doing an MD radiology or a DNB radiology, whatever, I would still have that in the back of my mind. Ki yaar, I am studying today to become a good radiologist and become a good businessman, right? And so that is second fundamental truth. And third fundamental truth is no matter what you do, there will be comparisons, right? So I decided to change the game.
मैं अभिषेक बच्चन नहीं बनूंगा.
करेक्ट. मैं ना पिक्चरें बनाऊंगा rather than पिक्चरों में एक्ट करूंगा. So that was so, and plus, there was always, the interest has to come first, right? If I was always very, very clinically oriented, or like I hated anatomy, like anatomy में मैं कैसे पास हुआ हूँ, like I know, right? वो मतलब I still remember I think sciatic nerve को tendon बोल दिया or some shit like that. So I hated anatomy, and imagine like a radiologist hating anatomy, right? So it all works out. Of course, I do truly believe that there are always certain decisions that you take in life, and there are no right and wrong decisions. You need to make each decision right, or you need to rationalize it, right? You can't be cribbing and अरे मैं ये कर लेता तो ये कर, because you only live once, right? You don't live multiple times over. So whatever you decide, you have to somehow, adjust to it and make it right in some way.
So you said that you wanted to be always ahead of the curve, right? So how did you do that?
So I won't say I want to be ahead of the curve. It is just that I am a very curious individual. So anything new. So for example, I feel hurt if ever somebody sends me a WhatsApp or asks me a question about anything related to diagnostics, and I don't already have an opinion on it, right? So because it's like I have picked this interesting intersection of diagnostics and technology, and everything that is new is essentially technology. So it's a inherent driver only, yaar. Like I don't think it is like it's a strategy or anything like that. It's actually the worst strategy. Like being the first at anything is the worst strategy, because being the second, you can actually learn a lot from people who have already done mistakes and all of that. But there's a certain high that comes of it, and I think Caring is a cool example of what we are trying to do here. Is so in 2016 I came back to India from the US. In 2016, 15, 16 was also the time when deep learning started getting applied to medical images. Right, so deep learning is this latest AI technique where machines automatically learn things and all of that. And 2016 was also the year when this paper by this guy called Paras Lakhani came up. So a paper by a radiologist on how machines could read X-rays better than radiologists. That was for tuberculosis. And then a paper from Stanford came out that said the same thing, but on pneumonia. And this whole narrative kind of started that AI is now going to replace doctors. Because of Mahajan Imaging, a lot of companies started reaching out to us. And because we had that brand key, if there's somebody in radiology doing something new, you kind of have a home in Mahajan Imaging कि तुम्हारी सुनवाई हो जाएगी at least. So so very quickly in 2017 and then 18, we built close to 25 relationships with AI research groups across the world, right? किसी को हम डेटा देते थे, किसी को हम ज्ञान देते थे, किसी के लिए हम annotation करते थे. So for example, 2018, early 2018, we worked with GE Healthcare to create the first ever on-device AI system. So GE X-rays, if you have enough money, now come bundled with AI algorithms that can automatically detect tuberculosis. And us algorithm ka, like on the clinical side, 70-80% calm actually happened in India at our lab, right? So we started working with these companies, and we continue to work. And today, we are in 2021, and there are, about at least 800 AI startups out there that are building tools for radiology automation. So radiology AI, there are about 800 startups. There are thousands upon thousands of AI research groups across the world. So every college, every engineering college on the planet will have at least one person building a chest X-ray का AI algorithm, right? अभी COVID में तो वो शायद और बढ़ गया है, right? So a lot of people. But at the same time, if you go to any hospital today and you go to the radiology department and you ask them, sir, which AI are you using? Out of the tens of thousands that are available, which AI are you using?
None.
The answer is zero, none, right? None. And we believe that there are three reasons for that. First is there is just too much AI out there. So as a hospital, how do you even get in touch with 5,000 companies, right? Or 800 companies, right? That's the first issue. Second issue is, let's say you get in touch with them. How do you test the AI? There is no way for you to even know कि ये काम भी कर रहा है या नहीं कर रहा, right? Because basically when you recruit a person, you have the opportunity to interview them, right? You can check कि भाई इसे कुछ आता भी है या नहीं आता,
Correct.
right? Just getting the degree is not enough. The third is, let's say you find the AI, you interview the AI, what button in your department do you press? मतलब वो आपके machine पे आएगा कैसे? आपके workstation पे आएगा कैसे? Right? So essentially today at Caring, we are building a software platform called CARPL, CARPL, Caring Analytics Platform, which allows this linkage. So we essentially connect data science teams and clinical teams, so hospitals and data scientists using this software. So from a hospital standpoint, you can get access to tens of different AIs from different companies.
So Vidhur, tell me why this need for AI? We have enough doctors, right? We have enough radiologists in whatever centers we have. Why? And you started this concept called CARPL. So tell us, why do we need AI and why do we need CARPL?
Sure. So why AI, Gaurav sir, is fairly obvious, right? We have a lot of doctors, but we have infinitely more patients, right? And at the end of the day, what is AI, right? It takes tasks that are done by humans and automates them, right? Now, the question to ask is, at what level do we introduce the AI? For example, even something like digitizing prescriptions, right? The organization that you run, like Healthcare at Home, I'm sure you always get on WhatsApp, you will have 500 prescriptions messaged to you every day, right? Why do you need a person looking at these prescriptions? You can simply have an AI agent looking at these prescriptions and transcribing all of it, and automatically, stuff can happen, right? That is the basic level, which, I refer to it as administrative AI. Then there is a layer of AI that involves basically doing things that only machines can do, humans can't even do. So for example, there are AI algorithms today that can take a MRI scan that typically takes 15 minutes it can cut down the time to 3 minutes. Right now, imagine your utilization of equipment can become so much higher that an MRI today, decently run MRI department would be doing anywhere between 20 to 40 MRs a day. You can take that up to 100 to 150 MRs a day, right? Thereby reducing cost of MRI, thereby expanding the market, right? But the third challenge comes then, what if you actually start running MRI machines at 5 times their capability? You will need doctors to actually read those scans. So the way we look at AI is today a good radiologist may be reading anywhere between, so I think in MRI only, yeah. So a good radiologist can read anywhere between 30 to 50 MRIs a day. What would it take for that same guy or girl to read 200 to 300 MRs a day? Right? So you are actually not uh, removing the doctor, you are improving their capability by manyfold, right? So the case in point, Gaurav, is the example of labs here. Like a Dr. Lal Path Labs does maybe, I don't know, 10,000 patients a day, and like all of them might have the signature from the same doctor, right? And it is not like that doctor does not care about those results. That doctor has the quality and processes and automation built in to know for a fact कि यार इसकी रिपोर्ट अगर इसका हीमोग्लोबिन 10.2 लिखा है तो वो 10.2 ही है. And because at the end of the day, what are like these lab equipments are also black boxes. Now you put in blood, you get out a number. You have to trust the number. So similarly, that's how it will happen with radiology. That radiologists will start signing off 5x, 10x more reports, and thereby become even more important rather than less important. So that is broadly the need for AI, right? Reduces cost, improves revenue,
I
improves
think it's
efficiency,
very
all of
interesting
that.
the perspective of AI which you have given, that the radiologists will become more important rather than get replaced.
And not just radiologists, all clinicians, right? Like so
what does CARPL do?
So CARPL is a very interesting thing. So CARPL is the software platform we are building at Caring. So Caring, as I said, is Center for Advanced Research in Imaging, Neuroscience, Genomics. We found a very good acronym in Caring. CARPL is a very bad acronym. CARPL is the Caring Analytics Platform. So, but we thought, doctors can still identify with CARPL. So, correct. So, but CARPL essentially bridges this very important need, right? So I said so many nice things about AI, right? And if you simply Google AI in radiology, or if you look at some industry reports, you'll realize that there are around 6 to 800 startups around the world that are building tools for AI. Right, and then there are thousands of researchers. Like any engineering college you go to on the planet, there will be at least one team working on AI for chest X-ray, right? And similarly, like a lot of hype around AI, like everybody's wondering all that. At the same time, if you go to a hospital, any size, and you go to their radiology department and you ask them which AI are you using, 99.999% of the time you will get a very blank stare. कि यार तुम क्या पूछ रहे हो, मतलब we don't have any AI.
What was doctor?
Right. Correct. So CARPL tries to bridge that gap, right? मतलब एक तरफ तो you have this amazing ecosystem of analytics developers, all of whom are trying to sell to hospitals. Hospitals at the same time have no AI running in them. Why? Because of three reasons. First is there is just too many of these ecosystems, right? आप सोचो, if you had if you had an iPhone but there was no app store, how would you actually even know that WhatsApp exists, right? So that is challenge number one. Just too many developers, too many applications, and hospitals don't have bandwidth to reach out to them. Second, hospitals don't have a way of testing AI. Right? It's like if you are recruiting a colleague, you interview the colleague, right? You try to figure out इसको क्या आता है, क्या नहीं आता है, क्या अच्छा है, क्या नहीं अच्छा है. With AI currently, there is no way of doing that. And the third and maybe most important is that you actually need to integrate it into your HIS, RIS, PACS, etc. Right? मतलब as a doctor आप बटन कौन सा दबाओगे यार AI का रिजल्ट देखने के लिए, वो भी तो जरूरी है. Just the fact that there is a really amazing algorithm, running somewhere in the world means nothing. So with CARPL, we have created a technology platform where developers and doctors can sign up, can integrate, and we can take AI from these developers to the hospitals. So hospital gets like a marketplace of AI where they can test AI. We do the platform does the statistics, everything is automatically done. Even the deployment, the integration into software is automatically done. And it becomes really, really simple. And like we are very proud to say that there are FDA studies that are running on CARPL today. Some of the world's best and greatest AI researchers are using CARPL today. I can't say their names because of NDAs and all that. I wish I could, so that's what we are building, and we are a crazy kind of team. We have like five doctors and I think 6 engineers, so we are catching up, and then data scientists, application specialists, this that. So yeah, so we're growing, and this is essentially what we're doing at CARPL and Caring.
You're so excited, you're so passionate about it that it simply shows what lovely work you're doing. And I must say that you have done your dad more proud than what you have done maybe as a radiologist, right? But yeah,
Just getting started, sir. Just getting started.
but it's not easy when people tell you कि यार तुमने ना MBBS की सीट वेस्ट कर दी, या or it is
Yes.
not easy to get to an uncharted path, right? It's very
Yes.
clear radiologist बनेंगे, फिर ये करेंगे, फिर ये करेंगे. But what you did, right, was something which nobody had thought. Nobody even thinks like that. I've been reading your LinkedIn post on आज ये study publish कर दी, आज American conference में इतने poster publish कर दिए. So how has been the journey? How did you get through all this?
So I'll tell you, Gaurav sir, frankly, right, the fundamental truth is that I could take this risk because I had the family backing, right? Matlab, there is no doubt. But I would say the true people who are actually taking real risk are my colleagues. So there are literally 4 people now besides me on our team who are doctors, 3 medical doctors, 1 dentist. And in medical doctors, there's Dr. Vasant Venugopal, who's a radiologist, right? Fully trained radiologist, was a AP at MAMC, left everything and now spends 80% of his time on AI. Right? There are 2 new MBBS graduates, Sarthi and Amrit, who just want to do data science, right? And they have done their MBBS. Amrit is from MAMC. Sarthi is from Jamia. In fact, Sarthi has also done a course in data science from University of Chicago. And then lastly, we have Bhanushri, who's a dentist come MBA. So there is, at the end of the day, MBBS की सीट 110% नहीं वेस्ट करी, because there is no other way of knowing how a hospital works or how patient care works, or how to, like, it's like, we live by this mantra that if you are building AI for a clinic outside of a clinic, then you are doing something wrong. So there is certainly a market, if I may say, now more than ever, for doctors, dentists, physiotherapists, who want to do something else. And I'm sure you also see this like enough, right? So there is gone are the days where, and in fact, maybe now, I'm also older, so that's why people don't say it. But I did face that question. Ki, Arey, why did you waste 5 years? Why did you waste 6 years? इंजीनियरिंग ही कर लेते. मैं कहा इंजीनियरिंग कर लेते तो आप मेरे से रिपोर्ट ना पूछ रहे होते अपनी. so so there are certainly those advantages, and but yeah, but and 2 years in this scheme of life is nothing, absolutely nothing.
Totally,
So
totally agree. Totally agree. So where do you want to head? What's your व्हाट्स योर गोल, करना क्या है, कहाँ लेके जाना है इसको?
सर, ये मतलब बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग क्वेश्चन है, बिकॉज the answer changes every 3 to 6 months based on how the world changes. अभी कोविड ने तो खैर बिल्कुल ही चेंज कर दिया है, बट I would say my personal goal is to dispel of this myth that high quality healthcare does not happen in India, right? That is the underlying ethos of everything that we do. Even CARPL, right? There is no other such software platform on the planet, and we believe that it could only happen in India. Why? Because India is the place that needs AI the most, but still is unable to use AI the most, right? And hence we had to literally come up with a software, यार, जो आप जैसे डॉक्टर को टेस्ट करने दे कि एक AI काम भी कर रहा है या नहीं कर रहा, right? Because India is bombarded with AI algorithms, but you need a systematic way to test. So what I'm saying is that my goal, and it's a very subjective, unquantifiable kind of goal, but it is to establish the fact that India provides high quality, high value healthcare, and at the same time there is this spectrum where there are institutions that are if not better than at par with the best in the West. And at the same time, there are institutions where we provide value-based care, right? The level of care, like COVID is a classical example. Yeah, मेरे को इतनी मतलब may sound very sadistic, but I feel so nice to see that the average turnaround time for COVID RT-PCR reporting in Delhi is actually not even average. The 95 percentile COVID turnaround time in Delhi lies between 12 to 24 hours. And yesterday I was seeing a tweet from Quest Diagnostics in the US saying that their average is 48 hours and they are proud of it.
Wow.
Right?
यहाँ तो 48 hours में पेशेंट ही आपकी जान ले लेगा।
यहाँ तो 48 hours में तो मार पड़ जाए लैब में, 25th hour पे मार पड़ जाए. So those are things that that we try to work on. So even Mahajan Imaging, of course, we want to provide the best possible care to patients and all of that, but those are side effects of having this goal, right? So I don't know if I sidestepped your answer or if I answered it, but
I think you were bang. And Vidhur, it was really very interesting. Whatever we discussed, I think our viewers are going to benefit a lot from them. MBBS graduates, maybe people doing MBBS or MBAs, medics who are so frightened, I would say, who have not been have not got those opportunities, that they have the courage to tread the uncharted path. So what's your message for them?
Yeah, my message is very simply, one thing you have to realize here. One thing, there is no doctor on the planet जो भूखा मरता है, right? So that is this insecurity will always be there, yeah. No matter who you become in life, you will always have fear and insecurity, and that will drive you ahead. But if you realize this fundamental thing कि यार तुमने अगर MBBS कर लिया है, तुम भूखे नहीं मरोगे, ना तुम्हारी फैमिली भूखी मरेगी, नंबर वन. Unless तुम चोरी करो, जेल चले जाओ and stuff like that, which is that has nothing to do with MBBS, right? The second message I would like to give is that you guys, especially the youngsters, right, are in a situation today where and I even consider myself part of that, but you are in a situation today where there are actually so many job opportunities, whether in management, whether in data science, whether in pharma, for doctors, where you get to do little bit of doctory and a lot of other stuff, or a lot of doctory and little bit of other stuff. But the thing is that this comes in, and the third thing is, I would say that even if you want to become a hardcore clinician, be aware of how the world works here. Like, check out podcasts such as these. You should check out one podcast I am addicted to is this by this guy called Lex Friedman. who's a professor of AI at MIT. 2-3 घंटे के उसके talks होते हैं with some of the greatest people on. But just follow these, Kunal Shah from Cred. He has this podcast on startups. Listen to it, like, because medicine is so all engrossing that तुम अपनी books में और अपने tutorials और अपने lectures में ही खो सकते हो. But today the world is so linked that just having even 10% of your time just spending on non-medical things can really add a lot of insight. Yeah. So yeah, so number one, don't be scared. Number two, do what you love, and number three, just try to learn as much as you can about the world. Yeah.
Very, very well said, Vidhur. I think हम सब लोग इस फिरोर में रहते हैं कि साला PMT पास कर ली, अब तुम खुदा हो गए हैं और हम डॉक्टर बन के और बड़े खुदा बन जाएंगे, and we close the world around us. And I think it's the myth that doctors can't be technocrats. Doctors can't be using technology. I think if a doctor adopts technology, they'll do the best. They can be the doctor can जिसने MBBS के final exam दे लिया वो कुछ भी कर सकता है इस life में, right? That's what I
especially gynae जिसने gynae दे लिया with all due respect
वो खून के आंसू धो लिए वो कुछ भी कर सकता है लाइफ में. So very well said, Vidhur. It was very, very interesting and very lucid talk which we had. All the people who want to go into this uncharted territories, who want to do something new, something passionate, and they are doctors, then this is the platform. Please join the bandwagon with us. We are all there to help you, to guide you, to discover you that you can do much beyond just treating patients. And I tell you, he touched much more lives than a single doctor would. Thank you, Vidhur. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, sir.